So, very good evening to one and all. Good evening, children. So, welcome to the e-learning class. Today, in our class, we are going to discuss about intermediate second year economics. Intermediate second year economics. So, today we are going to discuss fourth lesson of second year economics by the name planning. By the name planning. So, children, generally, what do you mean by planning? What do you mean by planning? In your way, what do you mean by planning, children? It is nothing but, it is, we can say the planning. Planning is a technique, it's a technique and effort, conscious effort to achieve predetermined objectives. To achieve predetermined objectives. It's nothing but if you want to attain anything, any goals in our life, if you want to get any objectives in our life, so we go for planning. So it is a technique, children, the technique and the efforts to achieve certain objectives. Then you'll get the idea, you'll get a doubt, plan and planning. These two words, these two words are same? No. There is a difference between the plan and the planning. Plan, it means a blueprint, a document. Just we plan a document. Planning, it means a document and effort to attain that goals. Whatever we plan it, that we call as planning. Is it clear? Plan is a document or a blueprint. Just you plan at the time of your examination, you go for a plan. You plan that, you prepare a timetable from morning to evening or the night also, that which subject you are going to learn in which hour and how you are going to go through it. That is plan. But planning is when you start following, implementing that same timetable to get your goals, to get your aims of your life, then you do certain hard work, certain efforts. That is called as planning. So plan is a document or a blueprint, whereas a planning is a document and the effort to attain that goals or the objectives. Now, what is an importance? Children, this year because of the COVID-19, from this lesson there are a number of deleted parts are there. Like types of planning, the part is deleted, children. So in this lesson only two topics are there to explain. That is about the 5-year planning system, its objective, achievements, failures and challenges, as well as, and the next one is Niti Aayog. Only these two topics we have to discuss. Remaining all the topics are deleted from the Board of Intermediate. So today, what are the importance of planning? What do you think, children, whether planning is important for us? Is it planning for us as an individual? It is important for us. Without planning, we can't do anything. If you want to attain anything, if you want to get good marks in the examination, we go for planning. If you want to get good job, we do the hard works, we go to number of coaching centers, we refer number of books, day and night we do the hard work. That is planning. If you want to get something, children, every time we plan. Without plan, we cannot get anything. So what is an importance of planning to a country? Country is economy. What we get, the importance, why the planning is very important. So the importance, children, planning, if we are having the particular planning, so the natural resources of the country are properly used. The first importance is, children, the natural resources. Every country is blessed with one or the other natural resources. So if we plan properly, as you remember we discussed in one of the lesson that natural resources are unutilized, not properly utilized or untapped in many countries. Because of that, many countries of the world are backward. So in planning, children, if we are having certain good planning, so definitely we can plan that how to use our natural resources, available natural resources for development purpose. That is the first importance of planning. Second one, industrial and agricultural development is possible. Yes, if we plan properly, so we develop not only in agricultural production, but we can improve our industrial production also. So both development is possible because of planning. The third one is employment generation. Children, there are a number of employment generation programs are there. policies are there that are given by the government. So if we plan properly, we can utilize those employment generation programs effectively. Number 4, balanced regional development. Since independence or before independence, this was a common problem, children, that in our country we find that there is imbalanced regional development is there. That means one part of the country is highly developed because of the availability of all the resources, whereas the other part of the country is very backward because of lack of resources. It creates imbalance in the development. So if we have proper planning, we can maintain proper balanced regional development. All the developed regions of the country will develop properly. Next one, social equality. Yes, if we have proper planning, we can maintain social equality, we can develop a social equality, as this is a problem in our country. We find that there is inequality in the society. Rich poor is the main social inequality that we find, children. Then social equality in the form of caste, in the form of sex, we find. In the social inequality in the form of gender. So if we go with the proper planning, we can get social equality, we can get social justice, and also we can make what we call every opportunity, social security will be made possible for each and every one. Next one, use of resources without wastage. If we are having a good planning, suppose one area is having a good resources are present in that area, but we are not having a technological support. So what we have to do? Hurry and worry, we should not exploit that area. What we have to do? We have to go for a planning that how we can exploit that resources properly by involving the government, by involving the other rich people to get the good technology, to take it out all those resources properly without any wastage. That is use of resources without any wastage. Next one, growth rates can be higher in different sectors. Primary sector, secondary sector, tertiary sector. 3 sectors are there in the economy. If we go with the planning, we can improve the 3 sectors growth rate. Economic growth rate we can improve from primary sector, then secondary sector and the tertiary sector only because of planning. Then we can protect economy from fluctuations. What is fluctuations? Ups and downs. Every time we find in terms of business, international trade, we find there are the fluctuations in the prices, demand and the supply. Okay, so this type of problem we can solve by proper planning of savings and investment. So these are all we can say as children, the importance of planning to a country's economy. I hope it is very clear to all of you. So our next topic, children, is related to the 5-year planning system and the objectives of 5-year planning system. Okay. So children, let us discuss about the objectives of the 5-year planning system. Okay. March 1950. This is important for you. March 1950, Planning Commission was set up in the country. Planning Commission to plan various plan for the development of the country. As already you know that 1947 when we received independence, when India received independence, we found that country was completely backward with lot of problems. So to overcome from all these problems, to overcome from all these difficulties, from backwardness, Planning Commission was set up, children, and the main aim of this Planning Commission is to find it out the problems, to find out the priorities of the country for development and to work on that priorities in the 5 years by allocating some crores of rupees in the budget for the development of the country. So the next 5 years we can take the another priority for the country. So 1950 March 1950, Planning Commission was set up with Prime Minister as the head of the Planning Commission. Remember this one, children. Prime Minister every time will be the head of Planning Commission. So with certain objectives. What were the objectives behind this setup of Planning Commission? The objectives like economic growth. What is economic growth? You know very well. Improve in the output. Improve in the production, total output of the country from the 3 sectors, primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. So the first objective of this Planning Commission was that economic growth from the 3 sectors, primary, secondary and tertiary sector. Second objective is self-reliance. Self-reliance, that not to depend on any other country, not to depend on anyone. Self-reliant, to stand on its own leg. Already we discussed this definition, that everything we have to be it should be with us. We should not depend on anyone. We should not beg before any other country to support in one or the other way. So self-reliance, self-sufficient in all the cases. Third one, balanced regional development. Just now I told you what is balanced regional development. In a country, many regions were there, children, at the time also, still in today condition also, that regions are completely backward comparing to the other. I'll give you one example. You know, the formation, before the formation of Telangana, we fought for the separate state of Telangana. For what? Because it was found that the Andhra was very well developed in one state only. Andhra region was developed, Rayalaseema was backward, whereas the Telangana was also backward. That means in one state only 2 regions were backward and 1 region was forward. And we were demanding, children, for separate states so we can also develop our region, our state. So this is, children, balanced regional development. So this type of problem we can find in many states of India. So to maintain a balance in all the regional areas. Next one, employment opportunities. Enhancing the employment opportunities to the people. Employment opportunities, to create the employment opportunities, providing the employment opportunities to all those unemployed people. It's one of the main, the plan behind this planning commission, because there is a common problem still we find in the country. Many unemployed people are there, children. Next one, reduction in income inequalities. Yeah, that is true. In our country, we find that there are lot of income inequalities are there. Some are earning crores of rupees, some are earning lakhs of rupees, and some are earning in hundreds only. Why this much of gap is there between the rich and the poor? It's a very big gap. So to reduce this income inequalities, okay, that is to plan certain objectives to remove this income inequalities among the people. Next one, elimination of poverty. The common problem in India is poverty. Poverty is related to employment. So poorness is to remove. How to remove this poverty, we'll discuss in the 3rd lesson, children. So the elimination, removal of poverty. Modernization of industries, modernization in agriculture, modernization in technology. This is also one of the objectives. So next one is inclusiveness, means overall development of the Indian economy is the main objective. So these are the objectives, children, that were kept in the mind of planning commission. So when they plan every time, they have to look after all these objectives. Whether any objectives are going to fulfill, any objectives are going to, it's going to get it, that we are going to get it, we are going to achieve it. Okay, to develop our country. So on the basis of this, children, the 5-year planning periods were started. So in which year the planning commission was established? It was established in the year 1950. Now we are going to discuss in a table about the plan period and the objective. Okay, so we are going to discuss about plan period and the objectives. So, the first 5-year planning period. The first will start with the first 5-year planning period. So, we'll make one table like this, children. This is the plan, this is the period, and these are the objectives. These are the objectives. Okay. So, the first 5-year planning period. The first 5-year planning period. So, children, these are the objectives of the 5-year planning period. So, plan, period, and the objectives. This is a very important question from the examination point of view. Pay concentration, children, towards this topic. The first plan period was started in 1951 to 1956. Children, planning commission was established in the year 1950. And the first planning period was started from 1951 to 56, 5-year plan period. And in this 5-year plan period, children, the first priority was given to agriculture. As India is an agricultural country, 70 to 80% of the population in those days dependent directly or indirectly on agriculture. And that was a time period that India was just a newly born baby, a country with a lot of problems. So when so many people, they depended on agriculture, directly or indirectly, so it is a duty of the government to improve the agriculture. Not only agriculture, agriculture related problems like irrigation, water sources was the major problem, children, in those days. So in this one, children, in this plan period, agriculture and irrigation was given first importance, that how to improve the agricultural practices, and to improve the irrigation in the form of supply of water through wells, through canals, through the river system, dams and others. So for all these one, children, the first 5-year planning period was designed and crores of rupees were implemented for the development of this first 5-year planning period. Next one. Second 5-year planning period, 1956 to 1961. Again 5 years planning period, 1956 to 1961. So this planning period gave importance to second sector, industrial sector. That is development of large scale industries. What is the second one? Development of large scale industries. Why I mentioned the large scale industries? Why not the other scale industries? Because already in our country we were having the small scale or cottage scale industries. So in the second 5-year planning period, the government planned to develop all the large scale industries with modern technology. Modern techniques. That is the second one. Third one. Third 5-year planning period, it started from the year 1961 to 66. Again, children, 5-year gap, 5-year plan period. 5-year plan period, 1961 to 66. What is the plan? What is the objective? Here, self-sufficiency in the food grains. Self-sufficiency, that self-reliance also we can say, that we should not beg before any other country of the world to get food supply. In those days, though we were an agricultural country, but we used to depend on the other countries to supply the food grains, because now and then we used to suffer from the famines, from the droughts, from one or the agriculture related problem, that is from the natural disasters and others. So because to overcome from this one, we used to ask other countries of the world to supply the food grains. But during this time, 61 to 66, it was planned that we should be self-sufficient in the food grains. We should produce so much in that way that we should not beg, we should not ask any other countries of the world. Then afterwards, 1966 to 1969, 3 years. I didn't write any plans over here. That means there are no plan period in this time. 66 to 69, we also call as a plan holiday. Why? What happened 1966 to 1969? 1965, Pakistan attacked on India. And with this attack, completely, we were disturbed economically. We were disturbed economically, socially and politically. Because of that, there was no time to plan economic planning, children. Not only that, this was a time period where there was a severe drought condition, severe famine condition occurred in the country. And we were so busy, the government and the people were so disturbed that they could not plan anything for these 3 years. So it was also called as plan holiday, a plan holiday. Then next one is fourth 5-year planning period, 1969 to 1974. 1969 to 1974. What is this plan period, children? In this plan period, steady growth and self-reliance. This plan period, again, it gave importance to the self-reliance, that self-sufficient in food grains and capital products, because now industries, large-scale industries were started. So for the large-scale industries, we were in need of tools, equipments, machineries. Then why to depend on other countries of the world to supply all these things? So in this plan period, it was decided that a steady growth and the self-reliance in food grains and the capital equipment. That is in the fourth 5-year planning period. And during this planning period only, fourth 5-year planning period only, children, poverty eradication, Garibi Hatao, by Mrs. Indira Gandhi was started. Indira Gandhi was then the Prime Minister of country. She started this program, Garibi Hatao, that removal of poverty was also turned as one of the objective of this fourth 5-year planning period. Then fifth 5-year planning period, 1974 to 1979. This planning period again, it concentrated on the poverty eradication program and self-reliance. That means by this way what we understand, that country was suffering with the problem, especially the problem of poverty, poorness. A lot of poverty was there in the country due to unemployment, due to illiteracy, and due to ignorance, due to lack of technology. Because of that, we find because of this, so much of poverty was there, and the plan was there to remove this poverty and the self-reliance. Then again, 1979 to 1980, there was no planning period. Again, it was declared as plan holiday. What happened? That time it was a war with Pakistan. That time it was a drought condition. But now this time what happened? This was a time, children, 1979 to 1980, Janata Dal came to the power. And as Janata Dal came to the power, they planned to make their own economic planning. They defeated Congress and they came to the power. So because of that disturbance, what happened? There was no plans during this time. I hope it is clear. Now, after this five-year planning period, fifth one, now we have to discuss about the sixth five-year planning period. So what was the sixth five-year planning period? We have to discuss now. So, sixth five-year planning period. This was a planning period that was started from the 1980 to 1985. The planning period that was started from 1980 to 1985, and this was again the poverty eradication through gainful employment. What was the objective, children? Poverty eradication. Poverty eradication. How the poverty can be removed? By employment opportunities. Poverty eradication by employment, gainful employment. Okay. Then next five-year planning period, 1985 to 1990. The next five-year planning period, 1989 to 1990. Then what was the main objective behind this planning period? It was increasing the food grains production. This planning period is related to the increase in food grain production. Increase in food grain production. Increase in food grains production was the planning period. Okay, seventh five-year planning period. So now, after that, eighth five-year planning period. But I didn't write anything about the eighth five-year planning period. Here I wrote 1990 to 92 is again a planned holiday. No plans were made. Again, what happened to the government? Again, what happened to the Prime Minister and the Planning Commission? Children, this was a time period where we find within a short period of time the elections were conducted. The government was formed, but government failed to get confidence. That means lost in the confidence motion, and the Prime Minister resigned. Again, government was formed but failed in the confidence. Again, they resigned. So in this political disturbance, what happened? There was no planning was done, because planning should be done by the Planning Commission, and head is Prime Minister, and there is no Prime Minister this time. So this is a plan holiday. Okay. Then the elections were conducted, children, 1991. 1991, when the elections were conducted, in that election, children, Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated. Rajiv Gandhi was assassinated, and then afterwards the new government was formed by the Congress under the leadership of P.V. Narasimha Rao. So they had taken the eighth five-year planning period. So now eighth five-year planning period, 1992 to 1997 is a time period of eighth five-year planning period, and this is the planning period for HRD. Already we discussed in one or the other lesson. What is HRD? HRD is nothing but human resource development. Development of human by the help of education, by the help of good health, by the help of technological education, health education, by different ways, increase skilled people in the country. So this program, this planning was only related to improve human resource development. Next one, children, 1997 to 2002 was our next five-year planning period, that is ninth five-year planning period. And in the ninth five-year planning period, it is equality, economic growth and social justice. The objectives were taken as, children, equality, economic growth. was the objective of this 9th 5-year planning period. So I hope up to here it is clear. So 6th 5-year planning period 80 to 85, poverty eradication, removal of poor people by employment opportunities. 7th 5-year planning period 85 to 90, increase in food production. Then it's a plan holiday. Then 8th 5-year planning period 1992 to 1997, human resource development. Then 9th 5-year planning period 1997 to 2002, equality, social, economic growth and social justice. So these are all the 9 5-year planning period, children, that we find. Then what about the other planning period? So now it's the time for 10th 5-year planning period. 10th 5-year planning period, children. So the time period for the 10th 5-year planning period, it starts from 2002 to 2007. It starts from 2002 to 2007. It is the time period of a 10th 5-year planning period. So now the 10th 5-year planning period. 10th 5-year planning period, children, 2002 to 2007. This was a planning period that gives the importance to the equality. I already told you there were a lot of social inequality was there, children, and social justice. Social justice for whom? Those who were suffering from the number of problems, especially the poor people, the low caste people in our country. Then 11th 5-year planning period 2007 to 2012, and this planning period gave importance to the inclusive growth. Inclusive, including all growth of from the 3 sectors: primary, secondary, tertiary sectors. Then 12th 5-year planning period 2012 to 2017, it gave importance to the faster sustainable growth. Faster growth, but it should be a sustainable growth. Sustainable growth means the growth should be there without damaging the environment, without disturbing the environment. Growth should be there. So growth in that way that our country or our future generation should not suffer with the lack of resources. Okay, so these are all called as, children, the objectives of 5-year planning period. I hope it is clear to all of you. The objectives of 5-year planning period. Then after this learning 5-year planning period, the country is also before you. So we have to go for a review of 5 years planning period. Review means how much we attained these objectives. All these objectives, whatever we discussed, and for each and every objective, some crores of rupees were spent by the government. How much we achieved, how much of that what we call objectives we achieved. So that we have to discuss, children, under review of 5-year planning period. Review of 5-year plan. We have to discuss under the review of 5-year plan. What is this review of 5-year plan, children? Review. So in this one, in this review, children, we have to discuss one by one all the objectives and to find it out whether we attained this or not. So the first one, children, the first one we have to discuss about economic growth. Whether did we attain this first objective? Yes. At the time of independence, it was found that the average economic growth of the country was 1%. When, children, at the time of independence, the average economic growth of the country was only 1%, but later from first plan to the 11th 5-year plan period, children, the economic growth, it improved, it increased to 4 to 5%, 4.5%. That means lot of improvement in the economic growth. It shows that yes, plan period was a successful one. And in this economic growth, we find there was an improvement in the agricultural sector, overall sector, the production of agriculture sector. In this plan period, nearly 2 to 3% of agriculture was increased, whereas before independence it was hardly 1%. So this objective we attained it. Okay, the next objective, children, it is self-reliance. We have to discuss now about the self-reliance, whether we attained this self-reliance or not. So in the 4th 5-year planning period, 4th plan, self-reliance was introduced. In the fourth plan, self-reliance was introduced 1969 to 1974. Self-reliance, this thing was introduced to children in the country, and it set a principle of the growth with stability. It should be a stable growth. The objective of this self-reliance is that stable growth. The objective is stable growth. Okay, with the objective of stable growth, children, this plan was laid down. And then, children, it was found that India very soon turned as self-reliant not only in food production but also in the capital equipment. That means we started producing big machineries, large machineries for large scale industries and so on. So this objective is also fulfilled. Okay, so after this one, children, the third objective we have to discuss. The objective is balanced regional development. What is the third objective, children? Third objective is balanced regional development. Balanced regional development is the third objective. So balanced regional development, children, is the third objective that we are telling. So how we attained this objective, children? So balanced regional development, the Planning Commission, what they did, they found that many areas are completely, there are regional disparities were there from one area to the other area, from one region to the other region. Lot of disparities were there. So what they thought, children, this Planning Commission, they plan to tackle all these regional disparities. They plan nearly three main core areas to tackle this problem of regional disparities. Okay, what was this three areas, children, to tackle this problem, children? The first one is recognition of backwardness. First thing is that recognition of backwardness. Recognition of backwardness is the first one. First core area. The recognition of backwardness, what it shows, children? It shows that to identify these areas. Then special area development program. Special area development program. Second one. Then the third core area, children, it is measures to promote private investment. Promote private investment. Promote private investment. What are these? Let us discuss, children. So the commission, what they did to balance the regional development, what they did, children, first thing they wanted that first to find it out the reason behind this backwardness. Recognition of backwardness. Why the regions are very backward? That is the first thing. Regions are backward. What are the reasons behind that one? Whether is it a natural resources or is it a lack of physical human resources, what we can say. Resources are there but people are not so talented to exploit the resources. To find it out the backwardness and to help these regions by the help of finance institutions. Second one, special area development program. By the help of that, suppose some areas are there, that areas are called as drought area. Means continuously there is a land is not supporting for agriculture in the lack of water. Some areas are there that is called as floody area. Some areas are there where natural disasters occurs continuously. So that type of areas to be identified. And the third one, to promote private investment. Not only every time the government to invest, but private people also to invest. By the help of that, lot of differences, lot of achievements we got it, children. Many of the areas where the imbalances were there in the regions were removed. So this is the third, the review. That is the first one, economic growth. Second one, self-reliance. Third one is balanced regional development. What is the fourth objective, children, whether we achieved it or not? The fourth objective is enhancement of employment opportunities. The fourth objective is enhancement of employment opportunities. Employment opportunities. What is this? We can say, children, this objective, whether we attained this one or not. So enhancement of employment opportunities. In this one we can find, children. In this one we can find the Planning Commission, they with the government, because the government is only the head, is Prime Minister, they planned a number of policies to provide employment generation to the people. Number of employment generation schemes were launched in the country, where even the person who wants to start their own business, who want to start their own work, they can get a loan facility from the government, from the financial institutions. Like that, many other sources, many opportunities were given children, and by the help of that we can say that yes, to some extent this was workful. This plan was workful by the help of this employment opportunities. Next, children, after the employment opportunities, the next fifth one, children, it is the reduction of poverty. Reduction in poverty. Whether is this objective is fulfilled, children? Reduction in poverty. So reduction in poverty or elimination in the poverty, you learn that from 4th 5-year planning period, Garibi Hatao poverty eradication programs were launched. Number of poverty eradication, what you call alleviation programs were launched, policies were launched to remove the poverty. But today's situation, we find that still the poverty exists in India. India lives in poverty still. This problem is there in the country. So this objective is failed. We can say it's not achieved till now. Next one is reduction in income inequalities. Next objective, reduction in income inequalities. So whether we achieved this one, to some extent we find that the income inequalities are reduced in the country, but still we find the mass of the people, number of people are there, children, those who are suffering, children, from this problem. Still we can find that there are a lot of differences are there in the salary structure of both the rich and the poor in the country. Next one, children, is modernization. Did we achieve this one, modernization? Yes, we achieved. In agriculture, you find that a lot of modernization is there. In those days, at the time of independence, we used to cultivate our lands by the help of animals. But now we are having the technology like tractors. At the time of number of things, at the time of cutting, we are having harvesters. We are having the modern the inputs. Not only that, to save the crops from the dangerous diseases, we are having latest pesticides. We are having the green revolution, modernization in that one. Green revolution was started in the year 1965-66, where hybrid variety of seeds, HYV, was launched in the country to increase the production. Yes, modernization, this objective we achieved. Now agriculture is much modern. There are a lot of improvement is there in the irrigation areas, big dams, multi-purpose dams, canals, wells, tube wells were created by the government, was started by the government to provide the water facility. Yes, this objective is achieved. Modernization is achieved. And last one, children, 8th one, it is inclusiveness. Inclusiveness, it means what, children? Overall improvement, overall development. Whether do we achieve this inclusive? Yes, agricultural growth is improved, industrial sector is improved, service sector is also improving. Now the condition is like that, agriculture is somewhat back comparing to the industries and service sector. Now much of the people, many people, now they are educated and now they are showing their flying colors in almost all the fields. So by this way, what we understand by the review of this literature of this 5-year planning period, children, we find that yes, much of the objectives were achieved, but still few objectives that we did not achieve. So this is, children, all about the review of 5-year planning system. Okay, so after the review of 5-year planning system, our next topic, children, related to this one is challenges. Our next topic, children, challenges. What we have to take it as a challenges, children. So next topic related to the challenges, major challenges in the economy we have to discuss now. So what are the major challenges are there that we find, children, to the economy? Now by this way, now you understand very well of what we are discussing. So the first challenge, children, that we find in this one, that is delivering essential items to the poor. First challenge is delivering essentials Essentials to whom, children? To poor. That means still many people are there who are not getting essential things for their livelihood. That is the first challenge that we find in our country. Followed by, children, here we find to improve the farmer status. Second challenge is improve farmers status. That means farmers are not getting a good status. You know, today we are alive because of farmers. Farmers are the alive God to us, those are providing food to us. But for these farmers only, their status are very degraded. No one cares for this, bother about these farmers. So second one, children, is to improve the status of the farmers. Third one, children, developing human resources. Third challenge is develop human resources. What do you mean by human resources? Already we discussed human resources. Human resources like develop the skilled people in the country, not only the skilled people in the country, the education and all the other things. By the help of that, we will be able to get all the facility. We will be able to develop it. Next one, protecting the environment. Next challenge is protection. Protect environment. Means what, children? Are we not protecting environment? Yes. Because now we are in the development path. We want to develop. But in this process of develop, we are exploiting the environment. We are completely destroying the environment recklessly. So we have to protect the environment. That is also one of the challenge that we can find. Still, do we have any other challenge? Yes. Still we find many areas, many regions are backward. So removal of regional backwardness. What do you think, children? Whether is it necessary? Yes. We find that yes, still many regions are there that are very backward, children that are very backward. So we have to improve the regional backwardness. And the main important one, there is a gap. Again, the removal of gap between whom and whom. With the gap between whom? The gap between rural and urban areas. Between the urban and rural areas. So these are all we call as these are the challenges for the economy. So I hope it is clear, children, to all of you. The major challenges like delivering the essentials to the poor, improve farmer status, develop human resources, then protect environment, removal and regional backwardness, and then removal of the gaps between the rich, the urban and the poor people. So these are all the challenges. So only challenges are related, children, for this plan, for the planning commission. No, there are certain achievements. Just now we discussed in review what are the achievements that we got it, children, because of this planning. What are the achievements, children, that we can say that we got in this planning? So achievements, children, the first achievement is that we get it, children, is about rise in net domestic product. First achievement is rise in net domestic product. Is the first achievement that we got it, children. Second achievement, children, the second we achieved is that self-sufficiency. Yes, today we are self-sufficient in food grains. We are self-sufficient in food grains and capital products. Yes. We can say that we produce much of the food. We produce much of the food and much of the capital also, children. Then what else is there, children? What else we got it? We got it, children. There are very good development in the industrial level, development in industrial sector. Yes, now big machineries are there. We find that latest technologies are there, children, in the country. So it is development in the industrial sector. Again, development in infrastructure, infrastructural area. Infrastructure like roads, transport and all the other things that also developed a lot. And beside this, we find development in education. Development in education sector. Education. Now we find that there are very good educations are available in our country. Once a time was there that people they used to move to the other countries of the world. the developed countries of the world for education. But now we find that all types of education are there in the India. Now the scene is like that. Other country people are students are coming to India to get the good education. So children, these are all we can say as the achievements related to the planning, achievements of the planning. Now, when we are discussing about the achievements, definitely what are the failures that we find in this planning period? What are the failures, children? Now you can say what are the failures. Now you know very well what are the failures. So failures are, the first failure, children, we find that still poverty is there in the country. Incidence of poverty is there in the country. That is the number one. Second one, what is the second one? Still we find unemployment. Still we find unemployment is there in the country. Unemployment is there in the country. We did not remove complete unemployment, children. Beside that, what are the other things are there? In this one, the other things, children, that we find is inequalities in income. Still we find inequalities in income. There still we find inequalities in land distribution. In land distribution. So these are like this. There are many problems are there, children, that we find that are still exist in the country. So these are all we can say as the failures of 5-year planning period. Now what we learn from these failures? What we learn from these failures? Though since 1951 till 1951 to 2012, these many plans were made by the government with a lot of objectives, but still we are able to find a number of failures. So what the government did? Then what happened, children? 2012 to 2017. It's the time period of 12th 5-year planning period. So what happened during this time? That time, Dr. Manmohan Singh was a Prime Minister. So Dr. Manmohan Singh, and as a head, the Chief of Planning Commission, he is a very good economist also. He announced that this planning commission, certain changes in the planning commission, and then 2014 onwards, this planning commission got a new name as Niti Aayog. Niti means planning, commission means Aayog. Niti Aayog. So our next topic, children, it is related to Niti Aayog. So I hope it is very clear to all of you. So this lesson is big, children, again I am dividing this lesson into two parts. So this is the first part, children, where we learn, children, about planning. We learned about the importance of planning. We learned about the objectives of planning. We learned about the challenges, achievements and failures. I hope it is very clear to all of you. You know what is your work. Go through the textbook. Go through the material, children, what I have given to you already. And if you want to search for the other resources also for you, net or the other material, children. By the time it's the time to leave. So thank you one and all. Thank you, children.